after 2 years of being away from the Fine Leg show, we are finally back. Tuliwa well, like everyone keeps saying. That's why I think we've chosen today's set, because we are clearly outside. We had taken a break due to what everyone went through for the last 2 years. The COVID pandemic could not allow us to have this show, but we are finally back and we're excited to host our first guest from the return. And we are going to host someone someone very close to me, but someone who's been around cricket for such a very long time, and he has served the game for a very, very long time. He'll be telling us his story working with the Uganda Cricket Association and what are the next steps when he's leaving Uganda Cricket. But I would like to tell you that the National Cricket League is on. Started 4 weeks ago for the men, and the games have been happening. Not so much action in the top flight, but my own Wanderers not doing so badly. We are on top of the table. Someone yesterday said maybe before we are keeping places for some people, but we won't mind that for now. I will be glad that we're on top of the table after our return to the top flight. Wanderers and Ceylon Lions were promoted to the top flight in 2019, and those two sides are in first and second position respectively. The Division 2 league is happening. There was a change in the format of the league. Previously there were three divisions, but now there are only two. All the teams are merged into two divisions. 9 teams in the top flight and 11 teams in the second division. So ACC and Avengers were fortunate enough to get promoted because of the restructuring of the league, meaning that at least 4 teams got promoted from the second flight from 2019 to 2019. So Wanderers, Ceylon Lions, ACC, and Avengers are all battling for their lives in the top flight, whereas the teams in the Division 2 were merged with the teams that were in Division 3. So it's also happening down there, and it's really, really very exciting. Like I've mentioned, so far Wanderers and Ceylon Lions on top of the table, but of course, because all the other teams haven't played a lot of games, Aziz Damani is yet to feature. Challenge has played 1 game, and they lost to Ceylon Lions last week. So there's a lot of cricket going to happen, and it's only 1-round league, so every game is more or less a final, especially for those that are in the dogfight. 2 teams will go down and only 2 teams will be promoted. So it's going to be very, very exciting, and we look forward to by the end of June, we shall know whether Wanderers is staying up or they are going down, or actually Wanderers have shocked everyone and won the championship, because last weekend they were joined by Brian Masaba, who the national team captain from Aziz Damani, a winner, so probably he will be able to inspire the side. The ladies national T20 league is also happening. This is their 3rd week. Just 6 teams in it. The ladies are preparing for a trip to Namibia next month, so they're using this tournament to make sure that they get themselves ready for that Namibian trip. But that's what is happening in cricket for now. But let's go back to why we're here for today. Today we are speaking to someone I've known for really a very long time, but we've never had an opportunity to speak to him on camera. And today we are privileged to host the outgoing CEO of Uganda Cricket Association, Martin Ondeko. Martin, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Good to be here for the first time.
First time, I know. I'm starting to think why we haven't hosted you before. Is it my fault or your fault?
You're the one who does the planning, so I can clearly say it's your fault.
I understand. Martin is also my boss at Uganda Cricket, so clearly I haven't been doing a very good job in making sure he makes an appearance on the show. Martin, I've mentioned that outgoing, some people will be shocked. Why so? You surprised everyone by, making an announcement sometime last week that the 31st of March will be the last day for you in office as CEO of Uganda Cricket. So people would be wondering why.
Well, I wonder why they will be wondering that. I have been at this association for 13 years. I joined in March 2009. 3 of those years I was the chief executive officer, and the rest I was the operations manager. So just like a player, when it's time. And as Martin, I felt I had given my all. I believe I'd given my ideas that would help the association move forward. And I also felt that it's time for someone else to come in with new ideas to take the association forward. The foundation has been laid for the association to perform. So I believe the next person will really hit the ground running.
Without going you're taking us or to twirl speed, like they normally say. Let's go back slowly and try and understand. When do you, of course, you've been at the UCA for 13 years. When do you get to start working with cricket with UCA actually?
I started working with the Uganda Cricket Association in 2009 March. That's when I joined as the administrative officer. 2009.
2009 and 2009. Okay, how did you get that opportunity? Were you passing by and they said, "Hey, boss, we have a thing here"? How did you actually get to start working in Uganda cricket?
Actually, maybe I should start with. Yes, maybe that's a good way to start. I was playing for Uganda at the time before I joined UCA. I was playing. I started playing in 2007 for the national side. So we went to Namibia the same year. Then we went to the High Performance Center a year later. We were preparing for the World Cricket League in Argentina in 2009. So unfortunately, I did not make it to the side. I was dropped, and I just finished university, and I was ready for any challenge at the time. So I got an opportunity to work in Rwanda. I sent in my application, and they gave me an opportunity to coach the under-19 team that was preparing for a qualifier. So I did 1 month in Rwanda, and they spoke to me to start working with them. So I came back to Uganda to prepare myself to leave, to go back to Rwanda. So, you come around Lugogo.
Was that the time when Haba was the president, right?
Yes, that's the time Charles Haba was the president. So I had a few discussions down there. So I came back to Uganda to prepare myself to leave and go to Rwanda. But before I left, someone came and whispered to me that, you know what, the administrative officer, who was Alan Sematim at the time, was actually leaving the position, and you're a person who has played cricket, you've been around, you know how things work, you're educated. We believe you'll be able to fill this position here. Tough choice it was for me to make. I had to think hard. It was tough for me to even speak to my people in Rwanda who had called me. But
the Rwanda gig permanent, or it was just do this thing for us and then we take it from there?
It was going to be permanent. It was permanent. We had actually discussed a few things here and there. So I don't know whether I can say unfortunately, I chose to work at Uganda Cricket Association, but of course we maintained our relationship with Rwanda cricket.
Okay, and then who, I don't know, I don't remember who exactly was the chairman then, but who had made that decision that, maybe we need Martin can help us around and run the office and keep things running?
At the time, it was Dr. Sebale, who was the chairman, and the secretary was Mr. Enoch Barumba. So when they presented me to them, I think it was an easy choice for them to make.
And then, of course, the opportunity to work there, was it something that, were you looking forward to work? Did you want to be involved in cricket? Or I know you have an IT background. Or were you interested in maybe doing something in IT? Or did working with cricket interest you then?
Of course, when we go to school, we believe we shall follow the profession that we have gone there for. Indeed, I was in IT, and I thought that's what I was going to do in the long run. And from the discussions I had in Rwanda, I was going to do something like that. However, I would assist with cricket as well. But of course, when I got the opportunity to work in cricket, having played cricket for all this time, I'm just out of campus. I felt very excited that I was actually going to work in something that I love. So for me, it was a very easy decision for me to make.
Then what was the kind of structure you found at UCA?
When I got to UCA, it was mainly the board that was running the association, and they had an administrative officer who was really in charge of running the day-to-day activities. The secretary at the time was very, very active. He was very, very active. Actually, in my opinion, he was actually the CEO, worked like the CEO at the time. We didn't have a CEO at the time, but he filled that position there. Then, of course, we had the organizing secretary, who was in charge of all the games. He was almost like a full-time employee at the association. And, of course, the development officer.
what is the kind of transformation? For the time you've been at UCA, you saw us moving from just a container and then going to Nakawa and coming back to Lugogo. But through those years, what is the kind of progress you've seen at UCA in terms of administration?
Well, you mentioned the container. Obviously, moving from there to to a more professional setup, I think it was a very, very big stage, because at the time we had started receiving some more funding from the ICC. So it would be difficult to convince someone that you're controlling all those funds in such a container. So it was key that we moved for us to be able to improve on our governance structure. And speaking of governance, I believe in that period there was a lot of transformation, bringing on board a CEO. We had our first CEO in 2009. He was there for 6 months. Then the next CEO who was
Who was it then?
It was Christopher Mpeka.
Yeah.
He was there for 6 months. Then a year later, Justin came on board. He was there for 8 years. So during that period, we were in transition, and it helped the day-to-day running of the association to go back actually to the secretariat. So for me, it was a big transformation.
Speaking of when we got Mpeka and then Justin, wasn't the CEO position desirable for you then? Because of course you understood how the UCA runs, what is required from the ICC and things like that. Did it cross your mind that maybe I should give it a shot at that time?
No, it did not cross my mind at the time, because I believe I still had a lot to do in my growth at the time. I was lucky to be surrounded by very good brains who advised me on the way forward. So I thought it was. I actually didn't even think about it at that time. I was like, let me first grow, and whatever comes, I'll go with it. I believe I'll know when I'm ready to take up that position.
Okay. Then of course Justin stayed for quite some time with UCA, and then how much did he enable you to grow and develop into, the next guy to take over after him, and some of the things that he did to try and structure the place and get it running properly in a good way?
I believe, and I'm certain that Justin did a lot in improving on the governance and the professionalism of UCA, because it's during his time that we actually left the container and went into a more professional setup in Nakawa.
No offense to that container, but personally I don't like it. I don't think if I was a CEO I would sit in it.
Well, it was tough, but remember at the time we were not doing so well with funding, so that's what we could afford at the time. But when he came in, we had to ensure that at least we moved to a place that someone can actually know that, okay, this is a professional setup. So he did a lot with the governance, with the policies of the association, with the floor plans, and everything became very, very clear. There was clarity in what we had to do as an association. And he was someone who loved giving the opportunity to people. I used to like it. I used to call it, he would throw you to the deep end, and you try and swim out of that. And I believe, for me, it's the best way to learn. So, like I mentioned, I was surrounded by many people who actually helped me grow.
Okay, and then, of course, in terms of developing as a professional without all the other people, how much has UCA helped in grooming you and become a proper professional? Even that you pick up some skills that you will go with, on your next journey.
During my time at the association, I have attended a couple of courses, courtesy of Uganda Cricket Association and the International Cricket Council. Key among them have been, I did a management course at the Wits University in South Africa. I have done a leadership course at the ICC Academy in Dubai. I have done a postgraduate in sports management from the University of London, and a couple of other small courses here and there that I've been exposed to. So apart from being surrounded by good people, I've been lucky to attend some of the best courses.
Okay, that's really very encouraging, and it's good to know that there were a couple of things you could be able to pick up. Speaking about working with people And what could have been some of the we're not very easy people to work with cricketers. How has it been now, especially as starting even from before even became CEO, starting from being the administrative officer to the operations manager and then to the CEO? How was it working with I mean, the fraternity expects a lot from the office, but you understand things better. You know the resources are not enough. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. How has it been for you in terms of making sure that I mean people are satisfied with how much effort that you guys are putting in?
It's very difficult to satisfy everyone, and it's something that you learn in any environment that you go to. But I'm just very happy with fraternity in a way that they would call you and tell you this is the problem, and you discuss it. They would call you and tell you, we believe things need to be done in this way, and you'd explain to them how things are run, and why you cannot do something in a certain way. Of course, some of them would understand, others would not. The fraternity is one that would scold you when something went wrong, and they would bring it out in a very strong way. Trust me, you wouldn't miss it. Whenever there's something went wrong, they would tell you. But even when something went right, they would praise you and tell you, know what, you guys, they will give you a pat on the back and say, you guys have actually done a very good job. So for me, it was a great learning for me. I got to learn from the fraternity who is who. But overall, I think whether negative or positive, for me it impacted in my life positively, because you cannot always be getting praises and pats on the back. Even the negative thing, you can learn from it, and I did a lot from that.
Martin Muyomba is watching from Canada, and he says, all the best, Martin, in your next endeavors. We started together mini cricket in Nira. Those were really very good times. Someone was asking me the other day, how come we don't have those things anymore? There was a lot of voluntarism. Back in the day, everyone would look forward to that mini cricket. When is it happening? But now that's not happening anymore. I don't know. What do you think would be the problem?
I was also part of that, but I think it's just the changing times. At the time, we were doing things when we were when we were young boys. We really didn't have much to do. We didn't really have much to spend. We were just coming from school. But when I look at these days, I think times have changed everywhere. The cultures have changed in so many aspects. I mean, everyone these days, for you to do anything for you, volunteerism actually means being paid. At the time, for us, it was just a facilitation. So I guess it's just the changing times.
I know. I mean, the spirit is changing, but don't we think you lose something? If we lose ourselves, if we lose our identity like that, then it becomes harder for you guys, even at the secretariat, to find people to actually help you do things without necessarily them expecting something, some payment or something.
You rightly put, Dennis. It's tough. It's tough right now. The culture has been diluted, and probably it's because we are getting some money. Because back in the day, there was actually no money. So you'd either want to volunteer or not. It was just a choice. So we knew that, and we volunteered. But of course, some money has come into cricket, and everyone who comes around knows they can, tap into that. So, like I mentioned, times have changed, but you cannot blame anyone for that.
The money, has it been a good thing or a bad thing in terms of managing people's expectations? Because if people think that there's money, everyone will come for money. But has it been a good thing for us to have so much money? I'll tell you, when you run a club, now it's hard for you to get a player without them expecting you to be paying them. When actually those days, everyone will be like, no, I'll just show up for 1 hour, play, have a good time, and leave. In your opinion, has it been a good thing, or we should have stayed poor?
I don't know whether this makes sense. It's a good thing and it's also a bad thing. It's a good thing in a way that we have managed to progress as an association in so many aspects, high performance, development, governance. However, like I mentioned, it has taken away that volunteerism that we had. I mean, you cannot just tell someone, come and work for free. It's not there anymore. Everyone knows they can get something from the association. But again, it's the times. I mean, you have to survive. People are grown. the setups we had back in the day are not what we have right now, and especially with the schools. Dennis, you know, the time we're in school, all we needed was just come play cricket. There's juice, there are balls, there are bats. You play and go away. Maybe we were fortunate at the time, but right now we have kids who, at a very young age, are taking care of themselves. That's why if he has to play for a club, he has to be paid so that he can look after his family. So the times have changed, the dynamics have changed. So you basically understand what is going on at the time. Someone has to survive.
Does that mean that the game is the game focusing on finding the people who can help sustain it, or has, you know, what is the funnel into the game? Has it changed and become different? Or is the game trying to be inclusive for everyone? But then again, that's when you find that you have a lot of talented players, but the game also needs to take care of them to keep them in the game.
The dynamics have changed, and I was the team manager for the under-19 team. Dennis, I think we were together on one of the trips. And one of the discussions we had at the time was that we looked back at how we got into cricket. We found cricket in the schools. We went to school and we found cricket there. The dynamics have changed a bit this time. Right now, people find, and let me talk about sport generally. People find sport, and sport takes them to school. In my opinion, I don't think it is a good way, because the first thing should actually be education. And they always tell us that 90% of cricket is played in the head. It's the knowledge that you have. The 10% is really the skill that you have. That's why you will not find so many talented players with the poor heads on their shoulders, if I can use that, actually performing very well at the highest level, because knowledge is required. So, because the dynamics have changed, we sometimes get crops of players who are not disciplined enough, because from school you actually get the discipline that will help you play the sport. You cannot play sport without discipline. So because the dynamic has changed, sometimes we are getting players who are not disciplined enough to play sport, and with sport you require discipline.
Okay, I understand. I remember when you mentioned the under-19s, I remember a trip we were on. We spent a lot of time together. When I was on the board, I remember I used to travel with you a lot, because as assigned the under-19 team. I remember a time we were in Malaysia, and the night before, I keep telling people the same thing. The night before we traveled back, when I was getting out of my room late in the night, and then I saw you sitting in the corridor. I'm like, Martin, what the hell? Are you doing yoga, or you're tired of sleeping? I said, you know what? I need to keep watch. Maybe one of the boys will try and sneak out of their rooms or something like that. I just never understood it, in my opinion. I'm like, man, just get some sleep. If someone wants to run, I will let them do. We'll go back with whoever wants to go back with us.
I recall that so well. I recall that night so vividly. And again, it's what we're talking about right now. I mean, the dynamics have changed a bit on how people perceive the game. So many times whenever someone is playing sport, they are thinking, okay, where will this sport take me so that I do not come back to the country? You understand? I don't think in our time we had anything like that. We were, the way we liked our home, the way we liked playing cricket at home, we would never have such thoughts. But things have changed. Things have changed. But again, we have to go back to the schools and really encourage people to study. I don't know, maybe in future there will be a policy put up for something like that, because we actually need it. Otherwise, the trend that we're going for right now, in the future, it may be very difficult for us to sustain.
Why, during your time, why hasn't there been a policy to try and push for this and make sure that you're getting either the right characters in the game, or you're getting people that because I mean there's not so much money in the game anyway. You're getting people who can help you carry the game forward until that point in time where there's enough money to go around and sustain players.
Yeah, you see, this is a collective thing. It's not just something that can be done by UCA. Remember, there's a time we had a discussion on the same issue, and people were like, "But cricket is an all-inclusive game. Yeah, it's an all-inclusive game. You cannot shut out anyone. So if someone doesn't want school, you cannot tell them that now go to school. And you see, we have had we know the examples, which I won't mention here. The person simply can't go to school, so let's make it an all-inclusive sport. Yeah. So those are some of the hurdles we got along the way. But we're not saying don't play, but we are saying get some form of education that can help you in certain things. You don't want to be on a trip and you're helping someone fill a form at the airport.
So are you saying we were lucky that New Zealand didn't happen? Remember 2017, I think we were close to New Zealand. Are you saying we were lucky that New Zealand didn't happen?
I keep saying that God works in mysterious ways. And probably that was one of the ways. Of course, going by the rumors that you hear here and there. But of course, we wanted to qualify for the World Cup, and I feel so bad that we did not qualify. I didn't probably sleep for a whole month, asking myself what just happened. But again, I'm glad we got back to the World Cup. But again, Dennis, God works in mysterious ways. For some reason, the World Cups we have qualified for, we had Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and now West Indies.
No, Bangladesh was nowhere you could ever run away. But yeah. I remember from that tournament, I think that tournament actually, the day before, because after the game I was supposed to return to Kampala with Innocent, and when we went to book our bus tickets with Mash Power, the guy kept asking, which time slots? Well, like, yes, game will end like at 6. There's no 6 p.m. So, of course, when we're at Gymkhana, the game ends like 11. Now the bus ticket is for 6 p.m. We stayed in Gymkhana with Innocent up to Ngare. Every other time you're there, people keep coming. Hey, Uganda, sorry, bana. Like,
it was one of the worst times, Dennis. And at least for you had been there for all that time. There's a gentleman who had arrived that morning to come and watch the game. And watch Uganda qualify. He arrived that morning with a 6:30, with a 9 a.m. bus. And you know, from the bus station to the ground it takes you some time.
Yeah.
So he actually got to the ground when the Kenyans were celebrating. So imagine the pain that one went through. And he had to jump on the next bus back to Kampala.
Kampala. I know, I can imagine. I think that's one of the most painful, for me, I wasn't playing, but very painful experience. And I don't know what it was for the players. Could have been, I know it was terrible for them. For some of them, it could live with them for quite some time. Lucky enough, most of them have been able to progress to the senior team. So maybe they will get a second chance. But you were in Rwanda last year when, we got the redemption. And I felt sorry for Tanzania because they were in a place where we had been. I'm sure guys like their guy with a beard, I forget his name, Kitisa, I must have been already picturing himself in Guyana and what. And then just all of a sudden it's taken away. That, at least for you, you got, even if you're not part of the team, but as CEO, you got that opportunity to correct a wrong that most of us will stay as a memory that just didn't go well.
Dennis, for me, really, Rwanda was one of my happiest moments. To see the team qualify for the World Cup. It had been my dream that I would be around the team when they qualify. So when it didn't happen in 2017, 2019, I guess I've just been lucky. 2019, I didn't even think of going for the tournament in Namibia. But for 2021, I had that conviction that I had to be there. It was a busy time, but I told guys, for some reason, I feel I need to be in Rwanda for this Under-19 World Cup qualifier. Not the men, not the women, but I want to be in Rwanda. So I was happy to see the boys qualify and the joy on their faces. One of them had been in the 2017 as a very young man. So it was good, Opio. It was good to see him, jubilate and say, now we have exorcised the demons from 2017. Of course, I really felt for Tanzania, but that's the cruelty of sport. I mean, they were in a very good position to qualify. Same position we had been in 2017, so you could actually relate with them and feel their pain.
I know. Some of the highs when you were in office. And for me, I wanted to speak about not just your 3 years, but all the time you've been there as an admin. When I was on the board, we worked together very closely, especially because I was organizing secretary and you are the operations man, so we had a lot of interaction. Game here, game there, blah, blah, and things like that. That whole journey, you've been through that office. You know what happens, the tension you're on, even if the team, even if you're not in Oman and you're not playing, but you know the the things that you guys go through to put together teams, to make sure they travel. A lot of people don't understand, and I used to keep telling the under 19 boys that if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for Grace, do it for Martin, do it for Rachel, do it for Brian, guys who run around looking for your passports to make sure your visas are together. Things like that, small detail. The only time I traveled alone by myself, that's when I actually understood how much work you guys do to help us, travel wherever we're going. So then you have to go to the airport, they're asking you this, are you sure you came with it, and things like that. But then if you're on a team, the team manager handles everything. Team manager is in front, hey, Muje, you all come, hey, sit here, it's time to eat, things like that. So I wanted to speak about that whole time that you're in the office. What are some of the things there's a moment that could have happened even if you're not even CEO, like 2019 when the team was in Australia. What are some of those moments that have stuck with you? You were in office the whole time to make sure the team manager is calling, is like, hey Martin, my card is not working, things like that. But it stays with you, and like, you guys, there's not enough appreciation for what you guys do. But I know there are things that you've done and you feel this was really a good thing.
Dennis, for me, there were a couple of them. But I'll start with 2021. It was one of the hardest times for any travel to happen. But to see that we pulled off all the events for the year, of course, apart from the Kibuka tournament that we didn't go for in June, that was a very, very low moment for me as Martin, and I believe for the association as well, for the team to fail to travel because of some COVID cases in the camp. We learned from that experience, and of course all the others went on very well. We had so many bubbles here and there that we had to deal with, number one as secretariat, but also deal with the effects to the players, because some of them did not want to be in there, some of them were affected by it. So we had to bring on a psychologist as well to assist in those situations. So last year was a very challenging year in travel documents, vaccinations, testings here and there, having put in bubbles. All the logistics basically around that were very, very difficult. The previous years, things were not as bad as they were in traveling. Of course, someone forgetting his document here and there, someone getting to the airport and the document is expired, or the document is missing pages here and there. In 2013, I recall they denied the whole team visas, transit visas through the UK to Bermuda. Of course, we pulled strings here and there, and the whole team was able to travel. We also had a challenge in 2018 when we had two girls denied visas who were supposed to go to England.
Playing the 100.
Yes.
No. As part of the development squad. Yeah.
It was also a big issue. And of course, in 2009, when 7 players remained behind in Canada, had just come in. And of course, 2014, when we had some boys also staying behind. So there have been challenges here and there, and we learn from them. But also the successes. For me, I always believe that the success right now is not because of you, but it's because of the foundation that was laid by someone else before you. So we ride on whatever we find there. I don't want to say it is me, Martin, who has done it, but it has been a collective effort, and even the people who were there before us, they laid the foundation for us to perform well.
Okay, I know that's there is, like I've mentioned, I don't think we appreciate you guys enough for all the things that have to do. I remember then when we were on the board, even finances were not that stable, so sometimes we'd go 1 or 2 months without your pay, but people were patient enough to wait and then carry on doing what they have to be doing on on a daily. But on the whole, do you feel satisfied? The 13 years you spent with cricket, have you given 110%? I know you give 110% when you open batting, but for cricket, do you feel like you've given your everything?
Personally, I feel I gave my all to cricket, and you've mentioned some of the instances that happened, but I don't think you heard of anyone from UCA striking and saying, you know what, we have not been paid for this time, so we can't work. And it's because we were doing something that we loved. Yeah, sometimes you actually get that attachment. Yeah, sometimes you get that attachment, and you're like, if this doesn't happen, then this will happen. And even right now, of course, I'm leaving, but I feel, of course, a bit emotional. I'm like, this has to happen. This should go well. Yeah. But again, you remind yourself that, you know what, hey, wait a minute. I'm not the alpha and omega here. I still have that attachment because I've been there for a long time, but there are always capable people to come after you to take the association forward. So to answer your question, I think I've given, I feel I've given my all, but of course it's out there for the public to also give their opinion on what they think about my 13 years at the association.
Okay. I mean, of course, everyone will have their own opinion, but what I wanted to pick your brain. A lot of people have been wondering, and someone was asking, when we told them we're hosting Martin, is like, make sure you ask him this. Did you feel, were you pushed, or did you jump? So people asking, did the board force you out, or you chose to move you chose to live on your own accord?
That's a question I've been asked so many times by so many members of the public. But like I mentioned Dennis earlier, yeah, sometimes you always know when it's time. I know you are aware my contract expired. Yeah, my contract expired, and I'm leaving at the end of the month. So sometimes you feel it is time for you. That's what I can say. You feel it's time for you to leave and move on to the next challenge. Sometimes you don't want to be so selfish, and you want someone else to come in with their ideas. Yeah, you want guys to come in with their ideas, new ideas for the association that you love. Okay, association that you love. I've been here 13 years. I feel someone else needs to take over, come in with new ideas, and where they need our support, where they need my support, I'll be willing to provide it. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Politically, yes. But do you...
I wanted to say no, they did not push me out.
No, but I mean, choosing to leave a job in these times that we're in, everyone was thinking that maybe you'd ask the board to renew your contract or stay on. Why didn't that happen?
Yeah, but also people are assuming that I probably have nowhere to go. Yeah.
You tell us. Of course, you're going to tell us where you're going next.
Yeah. So we agreed. We sat and agreed, of course, with the board that this was the time. This was the time, and it was taken in good faith by everyone. It was taken in good faith by everyone. We agreed that, you know what, this is not goodbye. This one is till we meet again. I'll be around to assist. But we agreed and said, you know what, I think it's time. The contract is done. It's time. Let's see who else can come in.
Was it a disagreement on how you guys wanted to carry on together? Did the board want to have, a new direction, new energy? Where exactly was the disagreement?
There was actually no disagreement because we have a strategy in place, and that's the strategy that we are going to follow. So whoever comes in will actually follow that direction. They were already agreed on it, so there were really no disagreements.
Okay, and then of course, I wanted to ask that for the time you were CEO is where people will be so critical about you, because and yet you did a lot of work actually. And someone asked me this, and I said probably one of the challenges was that you were such a very good operations manager that when you became CEO, we didn't find someone as good as you. When I say we, I mean the cricket fraternity. We didn't find someone who was as good as you. So those are some, you are literally like doing two jobs. And then, of course, you lose insights on so many different things because you're all over the place. Maybe you're trying to close a deal, and then they are telling you at the ground, hey, guys, we can't play in Chambogo, there's this and that. Was that the scenario for you?
Of course, having been in that position for 10 years, operations manager, you always get into a position whereby it's easier for people to deal with you. Even when you send them to the person in charge, they feel that, you know what, it's you that we can talk to, it's you who can do this work for us. So sometimes, if you can handle it there and then you will, but most times, obviously, I would push them to whoever is responsible for that. But in my 3 years, I had 2 operations managers. One of them was there for 6 months, and then the other was there for 2 years, about 2 years. So definitely it was a time when I was trying to groom someone, just like I was groomed as well. It's the time I thought I would groom someone to be able to take the association forward, but obviously I did not not get that chance. So the turnover was a bit high at the time, and yet with Justin, he had one person his whole tenure that he was able to groom to take over. So that is also there. I mean, then it's just like you are very comfortable calling me and getting things done probably quickly. So, and those people are always there. They will always call a certain person because, number one, they are comfortable with the person, or maybe they cannot reach the other person. So it was also a bit of a challenge at the time. And you can't just tell them, no, go to the other person, knowing how sports fraternities are.
But I mean, someone would fear for UCA. The changes have come quick and fast, like being 100 for no loss, and then all of a sudden you're 101 for 3. The operations manager left, and then you're leaving. How is the office going to manage the transition? I mean, there haven't been, I don't know. Most people would say in organization there should be leaders to help you transition, even if someone is not available. How is the office going to manage, and why were the changes happening in a very short span of time?
Dennis, you're asking me a very hard question that probably should be addressed to the board through the secretary. But for me, I'll tell you that there is already a plan in place. It's being handled to fill the 2 positions. I will be available to assist in the transition when required, and I don't think the association will collapse because 2 people have left. I mean, association is bigger than just 2 people, so there's already a plan in place to fill the positions and ensure that no work is stalled because myself or the ops manager is not there.
Okay. Someone is asking, are you targeting, you were mentioning where you're going, but maybe you could answer this one that way. Are you targeting a position at NCS, the Olympic Committee, or the ICC? We already have a CEO. Our former CEO, Justin, is at the ICC. I was going to ask the same. I would lead with this. Where shall we find you next? But, okay, where shall we find you next?
Dennis, I don't know. I don't know, and I can't say what is next at the moment. Maybe I might go into farming. But obviously, at an appropriate time, when everything is confirmed and something is known, it will definitely be known. But now,
meaning there's something.
Yes.
Meaning there's something.
Not yet. Not yet. I'll tell you the truth. There's nothing yet at the moment. That's why I'm saying when anything comes up, everyone will know. But nothing at the moment.
All right. And second part of that question is, do you have any regrets for the 13 years you've been at cricket? Are there things you could have done better? That did happen for one reason or another for reasons beyond your own control. What do you think we could have done better in terms of, taking the game forward and making it a sport for everyone?
Number one, I think we did not try to professionalize the clubs. I think at the moment, and that was a failure on my side, we should have made the clubs more professional. Because when you look at the state of the clubs right now, and that's where we're supposed to get our players to play for the national side, you realize that something needs to be done quick, good enough. Already it's in the strategic plan to ensure that the clubs are sustainable and not just political clubs that will show up at the AGM to vote for the next chairman or secretary. Need to be made more professional, and I've seen it happening in FUFA. They have put guidelines for clubs to either be in or be out. I believe that something should be done for the clubs. One thing that I believe should be done is that we haven't done a good job in growing more facilities. I'm sure you're aware that we have been playing ping pong on most of our grounds, Chambogo, Lugogo, Entebbe, and the other grounds. So I believe we need to improve our facilities. I believe we need to get a place that we call our own for us to be able to move this game forward.
Okay. Understood. And working with the different boards. You started with Dr. Sebale and Mr. Mwami, I think Bashir Badu, and then Mike Onwaga. But working with the different boards, how has it been to relate throughout that time you were in different roles? But how has it been working with the politicians and making sure you're politically correct for you not to lose your job and things like that?
Is what I tried to say. Anyway, good thing I worked with you as well as on the board. And politics never goes away. There's even politics at home. So politics never goes away even in our association it was there. But you try to balance the two. You have to balance politics and management for things to work. And I think we did it pretty well. Probably that's the reason we're able to stay there all that time without stalling any of the UCA activities. I think there are so many achievements that we have out there to talk about.
Was it hard working with? Was it hard working with the board? Sometimes they don't buy into your ideas, and then you feel, of course, frustrated. Did you ever feel like, you know what, why am I doing this? Don't I need to move on and leave this? Did you ever get some moments like that?
Then if anyone gets them, and yes, I cannot say I didn't. But of course, when you're working with the board, sometimes they have their idea on something else, and you have your idea as well. So at the end of the day, what's important is if you can come to a common agreement on how you're going to move forward. Otherwise, if we want to move in the same direction, we need to reach a compromise. So those moments were there. You rubbish each other. You don't agree with the other person's idea, but at the end of the day, you have to come down to the ground and say, you know what, guys, we're moving in the same direction. This is what we need to do.
What are some of the key, takeaways and lessons you take from Uganda cricket to your next engagement, wherever it is?
Number one is hard work very hard, no matter what is around you. Yeah. And at the end of the day, hard work pays. It eventually pays. So whatever you are, and that's what Vishu has told me, always love what you do. And in my time at UCA, that's what really, really pushed me. That no matter the forces around you, just work hard. Yeah. Just work hard and work smart as well. Actually, working smart is one of the most key things. Work hard, work smart, and the rest will just put itself in place.
All right. As someone on the inside, when do you think we shall have the next CEO, and what is the timeline like?
I'm not involved in the recruitment of the CEO, but in the discussion that we held, we would have one by the end of this month. So let's hope, and we hope and pray that person will be available by the end of this month.
Someone has already asked here, we haven't seen the advert yet. I think people want to apply for the position, but they haven't seen the advert yet. Is the association headhunting, or the advert is there somewhere? Where do people look?
Yes, you're in charge of throwing out this information. Why don't you answer that?
I know.
But the advert is out there. The advert is out there. Maybe whoever is asking, you can forward it to them.
Okay. As we conclude our conversation, what next for you? Shall we see you more often? This time, of course, you'll come to Lugogo with less pressure, especially in June, without you having to worry about, Dennis, are the media guys taken care of? Grace, I don't see the coaster for the other team. Shall we see you more often? Shall we see you more often in cricket, or you feel like you need to take a break and come back re-energized? Also, shall I come back? Nile may need you as Nile, or Muriro may need you as a wicket-keeper batsman.
Yeah, definitely. Cricket has been my life, really. I probably have nowhere else to go if it's not cricket. So I'll definitely be around, and like I mentioned, I'll do whatever I can to support the sport in any way that I can. if I'm required. So I'll definitely be around to assist. Like I mentioned, I'll be around to help the next CEO transition, and I don't think that is a I don't think that's a 1 week's job. Probably it's longer than that. I've been so involved in the upcoming tournaments, especially the one that we're hosting in June. I can't just jump out right now. So obviously, if I'm required, I'll definitely be there to assist and ensure that we hold a memorable tournament, looking at the experience that I've gathered over the years in hosting the tournaments.
All right. Maybe finally, on a personal note, you're married to a cricketer. How much cricket is there in your home, or when you guys at home, you literally don't even speak about cricket?
We definitely talk about cricket, and she's involved with the ladies team, that is Pioneer. She's involved with Pioneer. She's now the manager of Pioneer. So yeah, we talk. We talk about cricket, and sometimes we even shadow play some cricket at home.
And by the way, Kong's on the second boy, so at least you have what, 7 more players to make an acceptable number taking the field. Shall we see the boys playing? Any chance? My girls play, so I'm hoping that a lot of cricket parents can allow their kids to also be involved in the game.
Definitely. When you've played cricket, you always have to. At least for me, I'll make sure that the kids are following my footsteps. I would love them to play for Uganda one day.
Batsman, wicket keeper, or anyway,
I'll let them choose. Hopefully, I get a left-hander.
Like the mom. The mom was a good left-hander. Yes. Okay, Martin. On a final note, I mean, it's been quite a journey for you in working with Uganda cricket. What are some of the things I could say? I mean, this could be one of the very many interviews we'd make as a CEO of Uganda cricket. What words do you, in 5 years' time, where do you see cricket? What can you encourage people to to look out for in cricket and to continue supporting the game?
For me, like I mentioned, Dennis, we have the foundation has been set, the springboard has been set for us to go to the next level. Right now, there's a lot that we are working on, especially with the high performance. We know our national team is a few steps away to gaining ODI status. I think they're 2 steps away from gaining ODI status. We need to put a lot of emphasis on that, because to really change a lot in Ugandan cricket. We have to get a home for cricket. I believe in the next 5 years we shall have a home for cricket. But I also urge the next CEO and the board to concentrate a lot on women's cricket. Yeah. Women's cricket is a big strategy for us to move the game forward, and I would think it's something that they should be concentrated on in the next few years. I hope in the next 2 or 3 years the women will be looked after the same way the men are. We had started that. We were actually at what? At 60-40.
Yeah.
We wanted to be at 50-50 in the next few years. So those are some of the key things that we need to look. Of course, the rest are, you have to look at the facilities, you have to look at development, growing the player base. All those things are there in the strategic plan.
Okay. I mean, on Edgar Kazibwe mentions, I think one of the things I liked about you and working together, especially when I'm doing the media part, was you were too open to very many things that were new to cricket. So we're able to try out new things, try this, it fails, it works, it fails, it works. And then, so there were a lot of things that we did together that some were good, some were not bad. We took heat from the board and whoever, but, we tried things without being so... both of us were not very aggressive players. We were guys who would take our time. Surprisingly, in the other world, we were risk takers. So Edgar mentions one of the things that he liked was you being open-minded about having a psychologist around the setup, not just for the teams, but around the setup. Someone who can always throw those things that we're not used to. We are cricketers, but someone who can deal with things that we can't. And that for him, that was so, because you could have easily said, you know what, no, we don't need to deal with equity sport. We have been doing whatever I've been doing, and it has been working. So I found you very, very open to trying out new things. It works, it fails, it works, it fails. but somehow we keep trying so that we improve the game. We preach the message differently, and we stay. It's no surprise that in I think 2018 when we were awarded the best association for doing the things that we're doing, and all through that time, you were the guy who was making decisions over these things.
Yeah, good comment there from Edgar, and Edgar has made a very big difference in all our teams. He came in as a professional who was actually supposed to work on the on one of our biggest issues. I mean, and someone was actually telling us, you guys, your biggest issue has been in the head. You keep saying you can't bat because you cannot concentrate. How come it has taken you this long to get a psychologist? So when Edgar came along, I think it was a very easy decision to make. I mean, you want to work on someone's head, then this is the right person. And I would like to thank him for all the effort he has put in to ensure that we actually have the players that we have right now. We're not yet there because it's a continuous process.
Yeah.
We hope we can have him long enough to be able to do that. But also, Dennis, there's one thing that I did not speak about, which has been very key, and you've been very involved in that, and that is our digital engagement. When I came into the position of CEO, I think our Twitter page had about 3,000 people, if I recall, or less than that. But now we are getting to 19,000. Actually, today I checked and it was 18,900.
Yeah.
So thank you for also being so open-minded and for the idea that you've given to us. And I think in Africa here, the ICC recognizes Uganda a lot in the efforts put in digital engagement.
We continue to learn. The opportunity, like I mentioned, was given to me by you to accept and for us to keep learning. Another person says the most open-minded CEO that we've had in quite some time in sports. I think we are not very many federations that have CEOs who are at that CEO level rather than, no offense to other people, but I think as
thank you
cricket
for whoever it is. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I think as cricket we've tried. Martin, thank you very much for speaking to us, and of course we've enjoyed the chat. We could go on and on forever. When cricketers speak, things never end. But we wish you very well in your next steps. Hopefully when we invite you to come and comment on anything cricket, you'll be available. And then, cricket, as you can never run away from cricket like you've mentioned.
Thank you so much. Then it's good to be here. I hope it's not my last time, because I don't think you've been only hosting CEOs. So I hope I can be back here. But just to thank everyone out there, everyone who has supported me out there in the role. Thank you so much. And hopefully this is not the last time we are speaking, because I'm in the position. Hopefully we can continue to interact.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed our chat with Martin Ondeko. Very long one, but we had to cut short and keep out some of the questions because of time. But I hope you enjoyed our chat. The Fine Leg Show happens every Friday, 4 p.m. on Kawowo Sports Facebook page and the YouTube channel. If you have any comments for us, you want us to host someone, you have a topic that you think we need to discuss, just let us know in the comments, and then we'll be able to do it. Next weekend, we'll have another exciting topic for you, and I hope you can be able to tune in and follow and watch and follow with us. That's it from me, Dennis Musali. We'll see you again next Friday.